All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is New York City Migrant Crisis. Families are refusing shelter in Brooklyn. Check it out.
The opening of the new migrant shelter at Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn did not go as smoothly as some officials had hoped.
Several migrant families that were bused to the facility refused to stay there. They got right back on the bus. Briella Tomasetti at Floyd Bennett Field. What's going on? How is this possible?
What's the reason? Like, wait, does the reason even matter in this context? Guys, I'm not even sure the reason matters. Right? You come, we're attempting our hardest to make sure you guys are taken care of, and then you refuse what we give you. All right.
Yeah, it is possible, Rosanna and Dan. Clearly, the situation is not ideal here. It's a transit desert. It is far from everything. It's not close to where parents have to take their kids to school. The bathrooms, the showers are outside. A long list of concerns. I could go on and on. But 23 families with children were expected to arrive here yesterday. Not all of them obviously stayed. A spokesperson for the mayor's office telling the New York Post that while some migrants did reject the site, another bus load of asylum seekers arrived at around 2:30 yesterday afternoon, and they did opt to stay.
All right. All right, so it sounds like, okay, so if everything is really far, right, if they're calling it a transit desert, then I think that probably makes sense. It sounds like we need to pay even more money to get another bus, basically, to bring them back to some type of city center. I don't know, say every 2 hours the bus goes, guys, right? I think that would probably fix a good amount of the issues here in this context here, but still not exactly sure we should be doing that in the first place. But either way.
Less than an hour after the first batch of migrants arrived at Brooklyn's Floyd Bennett Field, families boarded the bus that took them there and went back to the Roosevelt Hotel Intake Center. City Council member Joanne Ariola, who represents neighborhoods in Queens, posted on the social media platform X that migrants refused to stay for various reasons, such as location, conditions, and the proximity of the schools where their children are registered.
Guys, listen, New York is absolutely packed. It's full, bro. Right. So if we, right, out of the kindness of our hearts, are going to make sure, right, because, you know, New York chooses to consistently remain a sanctuary city, right? If you're going to continue to have that decision-making ability, right, you're going to say that that's going to be something that we're going to do, and then we do it in a place where obviously there's the land for it, because again, New York City doesn't really have land like that to open to do this, unless they actually want a riot to happen by closing even more schools and hotels, and et cetera, guys, right? Parks. This is the best place for it. I think New York City specifically is at its brim right now, guys. It's at the top of its ability to do things now, without raising the taxes more than they already are, guys. So you're gonna have to take this, unfortunately, right?
State Assembly member Jamie Williams was on site and echoed those concerns.
It's a very isolated area. When you came in, you have to come all around. So it's not a place where you put women and children, and then the facilities is just not, you know, friendly, especially in the middle of the night if a child or an adult have to get up to go outside of the tent to use that bathroom.
Floyd Bennett Field was first proposed as a shelter site months ago. The former airfield space is owned by the federal government, but Governor Hochul is footing the $20 million bill. The makeshift shelter has enough room to house 2,000 people, but the proposal was immediately met with intense pushback due to its inconvenient location, lack of mass transit, susceptibility to flooding, and more. Fox 5 toured the site last month. There are...
Bro, it's not a permanent residence. This is supposed to be temporary, right?
4 dormitories, a tent for registration and for people to connect with caseworkers. Another tent will be used as a cafeteria, but communal bathrooms and showers are set up outside.
This is not, you know, best conditions, but we're managing crises. And can I say any better that we need help?
Meanwhile, Mayor Adams toured the site last night, doubling down on his calls for more federal assistance. The mayor's office...
You're not going to get it.
has sent out a statement saying, in part, with more than 65,600 migrants currently in our care and thousands more continuing to arrive every week, we have used every possible corner of New York City and are quite simply out of good options to shelter migrants.
I figured
no
that.
municipality should be left to manage a national crisis almost entirely on its own. It's not fair to New Yorkers, and it's not fair to asylum seekers. The city has set up more than 200 emergency shelters since the crisis began, and 2 large-scale relief centers, one outside the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center in Queens and another on Randall's Island.
Big problem is this situation that New York City is in. And so, again, a site like this is needed because we don't have anywhere else. If we have some other places, I'd love for people to let us know where they are.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of where I'm lying in this instance here, right? It's just like, listen, bro, there's nowhere else. Right? So if you refuse shelter, where do you plan on going? Where do you plan on going? There's no place else for you to be, right? You flooded the city, you literally flooded the city, right? I mean, I guess, it's not, you didn't think of that, or you just didn't care about where you were going as long as you got in, right? But the reality is of the situation is New York is doing way more than they should be doing. And there's no real way to sustain this for any long amount of time because, again, New York is out of space. There's no place else. Right? But all right.
The Legal Aid Society toured this site a few weeks ago and wrote a long list of concerns to the city about why it is not suitable for families with children. Representatives were back here again yesterday. They are doubling down on their calls for the city to pull out of this plan. But the question remains, with people already moving in, is that even possible at this point?
No.
Now that we're live at Floyd Bennett Fields, Dan and Rosanna, back to you.
So, Briella, before you go, I heard those people who refused to stay at Floyd Bennett now are on their own.
Right, I would expect that.
Well, there was actually a person who was working here and coordinating the people getting on and off the buses, Rosanna. He told our reporter who was here yesterday that they were going to the Roosevelt Hotel, which was the intake center.
Oh, of course, the hotels.
So it's unclear really what the deal is here, if they're going there, if they're going somewhere else, if they're getting on a bus and they're on their own at this point. The city has really not given us too many answers as to what's going on, so not so concrete.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, Briella, thank you so much.
And guys, and that's the thing, guys. I just want to end this just by saying this here, based off of every single thing that we heard here. I'm not even sure that it's a good idea for them to refuse it, right? If you refuse something like this, who else is going to help you specifically if we're being forced to, right? And specifically in a place where there is not enough land to do anything different, right? You're asking too much now. It's too much, right? But either way, listen, you guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. And you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.